Good Vach for the Purim, and it's Tanya Summary Shiur, week 16, and it's chapter 36 and 37a. I think it's the first time that we had a chapter that we didn't finish at the end of the week. But regardless, let's just go right for it. So, in chapter 35, we introduced the theme that we're going to be having until the end of this book of Tanya, which is we need to understand why it is that Hashem gave some people an avodah that's in a sense a repetitive avodah of just struggling with themselves. So that's the general gist. But for now, the Alter Rebbe says, in order to understand this, it's good to have an understanding of what's special about this world, why Hashem created this world. So the Alter Rebbe quotes the Ma'aner Azal that the ultimate of the creation of this world is because Hashem wanted to have a dwelling down here, a dir b'tachtenim. So the Alter Rebbe explains himself that as far as Hashem goes, really, Hashem was the only existence before he created the world. And as far as Hashem goes, he still is the only existence. Because as far as he goes, he is everything. Everything is him. However, as far as we're concerned, from our point of view, things can seem to be different from Hashem. And he quotes many different things that discuss these ideas that this is what existing down here means. It's essentially not being able to appreciate godliness properly. So he says that the ultimate of the entire chain of cause and effect of different worlds, until finally we come to this lowly world, the whole point is not for the upper world. It's not for this more spiritual realms. The point is actually for this world, so that Hashem should have the pleasure from us either holding back darkness or transforming darkness into light. So the Alter Rebbe says, okay, you might have a question, and if that's the case, then what does it mean that Hashem wants to do b'tachtenim? How are we able to appreciate Him if almost definitively in this world conceals over godliness? So the Alter Rebbe says that to this end, Hashem created Torah, and he quotes many different sources that explain the idea that Torah is what gives us the ability to appreciate and comprehend godliness while still staying alive. Even though by Matan Torah you had such a great revelation of godliness, he says that Hashem dosed the Yidden with the dew of Torah, which Hashem is going to ultimately use to revive the dead by Tekes HaMesim. So, yeah, Torah is what enables us to properly appreciate godliness. That's why Torah is so important. And even if a person isn't learning Torah themselves, at least supporting people that learn Torah, etc., Torah is very important for this because ultimately it gives us the ability to appreciate godliness, and that's what the ultimate of this entire world is. The Alter Rebbe just explains in more details about how things are going to be when Mashiach comes, that we're going to have such a great appreciation of godliness that it's going to seep through to all of the nations, etc., etc. This is what is discussed in chapter 36. In chapter 37, at least 37a, the Alter Rebbe continues from chapter 36 and says that it turns out that all of our reward, everything that's going to happen in Yemei Mashiach and Tekes HaMesim, the relation of Ere and Seif in this physical world, it depends on what we do throughout the time of Galus, because what causes the schar of the mitzvah is the mitzvah itself. The mitzvah itself is what gives us the wherewithal and the ability to bring godliness into this world. That is the reward, and that is the thing that we're doing. The Alter Rebbe says that a mitzvah is taking something physical and using it to completely express godliness. He gives an example of klaf for tefillin and mezuzis and sefer Torah, and an esrig, which isn't erla, and tzedakah money, which isn't stolen, and all of these things. As long as it's a proper vessel for godliness in the way that it can express properly Hashem's will, we're able to take it and use it to express God's will in this world, and that brings us closer to whether we can appreciate it in an intangible sense or not right now. But ultimately, when Mashiach comes, we're going to appreciate how this is literally taking the world and making it into a place where we can appreciate godliness. The Alter Rebbe says that there's another more personal level to this, which is that we have a soul of vitality, if you will. Not our godly soul, not even our animalistic soul per se, but our force of life. And when we do a mitzvah, we're using our force of life to serve Hashem. Our force of life is a physical thing, and it's not quite physical. It's still spiritual in the sense that it's like a spirit of life, but it's essentially our entire being, that we're able to put our entire being into doing a mitzvah. The Alter Rebbe says that even with learning Torah or davening, where l'chayr it's only speaking, but he says that nevertheless we know that thinking is not like speaking, and a person isn't yetza until they talk, at least for a lot of different things, and we know, the Chachamim tell us, that moving the lips is an action. That when a person speaks, the fact they're moving their lips, that's they're expressing themselves in that little action. But that little action is making that their essence is actually doing something in this world. It's not just thinking, it's not just sitting there, it's actually doing something. So we have both elements, that both you're transforming the world when you do a mitzvah with whatever it is that you do, and also you're transforming yourself, you're making yourself an expression of Hashem's will when you do a mitzvah. So that concludes the chapter 37a, part 1, however you want to say it. And in Miras Hashem, next week we will continue with chapter 37 in discussing more of this element, this personal element of how a person is able to become this expression of God's will. So yeah, Freilich and Purim, I'm looking forward to the next one.